There are certain watches when I see them online, there's certain watches when I see reviews of them that I think, wow, that is something special. And one of those brands that makes me think, wow, there's something special about that is Direnzo. Hello, you're watching James. My name's James, you're watching me, and I'm talking about watches. And I've been so lucky to be able to get hands-on with this DRZ04 by Direnzo. Now, this is not my watch. I've been lent this watch by Jason from Houtman Watches. Again, he has been nice enough to lend me one of his personal watches. If you're interested in Houtman Watches, or if you haven't even heard of them before, I'll leave a link to his website down below. Definitely worth checking out. One of my favorite micro brands that I've ever experienced, and one of my favorite micro brands that is in my personal collection. But I'm so glad that he's been able to lend me this watch because I've wanted to get hands-on with a Direnzo for some time. I haven't done so because they're not the cheapest watches out there. This one here, if you're looking to buy it, it is 1,200 Australian dollars. And I want to talk about that price a little bit more, but I will do that at the end of the video. But what I can say is as soon as I got hands-on with this watch, I had a thought. I had a thought that this is one of the better quality watches at that price that I've ever experienced before. Now, because this watch has been lent to me, I've been very careful with it and I haven't really been wearing it. And as such, this in-depth review is not really an in-depth review. It's more of a first impressions / review. So let's jump into it because I want to share with you my thoughts and what has really stood out to me about this Direnzo. Now, on paper, the Direnzo DRZ04 has a lot to offer. It comes in a really nice individual case. It's quite different. Inside here we've got a travel pack as well, which is cool. Lots of information about the watch itself. You can fit 3 watches in this travel case or this travel roll. Very, very nice. Nice and soft inside as well. But you also get a watch that contains the elaborate grade SW200-1. You get scratch resistant coating on that stainless steel of the watch itself. You get a sapphire crystal with AR coating, 100 meters of water resistance, and a 2-year warranty. But most of all, you're getting a watch that is gorgeous. Not only is this a good-looking watch, the quality of it is outstanding. It really jumps out of your hand when you feel this watch. Honestly, at this sort of price, at around about 1,200 Australian dollars, the only other watch that I've had this same experience with, the same pick it up, feel it, and think about the price and that sort of balance, the only other watch I've ever experienced that with is my Christopher Ward, a watch which I say is one of the best watches you can buy for the money. Well, this may well be a competitor in regards to best watch for the money because the quality of this, outstanding. But it goes far beyond that because it has some beautiful design elements, some well-considered and thought-out design elements which makes it very individual. Because check out the dial. Not only is the colour very pretty, and it's a lovely colour, but I love how it scoops up like a bowl. And then you look at those applied indices. They're in black with the lume inside of it, and they've placed on so well that it just seems like a really interesting and well thought out decision. And then the hands, the shape of them, partially skeletonized, all black as well. The black and white on that blue making a skeletonized handset actually very legible, but also looks really good. Everything else on the dial is printed, all the markers, the Direnzo logo, the name, also the automatic there. Porthole window at the 6 o'clock for the date window with a black surround as well. So keeping all the themes of the colors going with all the elements of the watch. Normally a porthole window is not always my favorite. I've now found it on a couple of watches which I think suit it well. And this is one of them. It's covered by a beautiful piece of sapphire crystal, very slightly domed, a really nice sort of look and feel to it as well. And that sapphire crystal, it transitions into some nice finishes on this case because we've got a circular brushing on the top of that solid bezel, transitioning into a polishing on the outside of it, brushing on the top of the case, a polished chamfer edge running all the way down, and then this beautiful satinized straight across brushing on the side of the case. And then more polish underneath like an under chamfer. If you just look at the watch now, and I'll zoom in now, and just look at the transitions and the types of different brushing and polishing, you can see that it is done really well and it just looks amazing. It's a really good design. Obviously this has then an integrated bracelet and they've sort of transferred that sort of polished onto the bracelet as well because we've got brushed on the sides, polished in the center. In fact, we've got sort of H links which are brushed and then individual pieces that are polished. And although some people may not like as much polish on the bracelet, I think it works well because it links in really nicely with this watch. Everything about this watch feels well thought out. Somebody has really sat down, probably Mr. Direnzo, and thought out a really lovely looking watch. Looking at the side of the bracelet, you'll see it's actually a little bit thin, slightly thinner than other watches, but it really suits this watch and gives it an almost slightly delicate feel. We have screw links, and we've got a really nice clasp. You can see it's got quite an interesting shape to the top there, the Direnzo logo, brushed with a chamfered polished edge there, 3 levels of micro adjust, and all milled interior. It also has an amazing set of dimensions as well, because this is a watch that certainly sits perfectly on my 6 3/4 around about 17 centimeter wrists. That is because the case is 40.1 millimeters. It's only 11.3 millimeters wide, which you really do notice as it sits down on your wrist. The lug to lug is 48 millimeters. The lug width, because it is a sort of a integrated bracelet, it's not quite applicable, but if you look on the sort of outside as it comes down, it's actually 23.6, tapering all the way down to 17.7, and set up for my wrist, 152 grams. So really nice weight, really nice dimensions. Again, I think just everything is thought out about this watch. Looking through the see-through caseback, you can see that Swiss movement, and I really like how they've done that screw-on caseback as well. It's just a really cool added feature with those little sort of portholes almost, sort of reminiscent of the date window there for me, and some information about the watch. And it really is a really on-wrist, lovely experience. You can see how nicely it sits down, even though it's a fairly flat case, tapers down around your wrist, and it just feels good. There is something special about the feel of this watch, something extra special. So what do I like about it? What don't I like? And what would I change? Well, a lot to like. I've already been saying a lot of things about it. And it's because it is a beautiful looking watch. It is a thoughtful design, and it's incredibly well made. Personally myself, I'm not a big fan of these sort of integrated bracelets, but that's my own personal thoughts. Nothing against this watch. But what would I change about the watch then? Well, there's a couple of things that I would actually mention. I think at this sort of price range, with all the well thought out design, that it would have an on-the-fly adjustment. Maybe that's something that will happen in some of the other watches from Direnzo, but at this sort of price range with this sort of looks and feel and how well it's been thought out, that's something that definitely would be an added feature to it. But let's talk about the money, because this is 1,200 Australian dollars. Now initially, that felt a little bit expensive to me. And that was until I got it in hand. Because for $1,200, this watch feels a lot more expensive. The look, the design, and just that feel in hand. And realistically, if I was going to buy any other watch that would compete with this, the only thing that I can think of is that Christopher Ward new number 12, which has an integrated bracelet as well. Both of them are beautiful looking watches. But to be honest, I think I would choose this one. And if you like this review, guys, maybe check these two out next.